Good afternoon, everybody. Merry Christmas. Hope you've had a good one today. Um, got time on my hands, so I figured might as well play some more with ChatGPT 5.2 as the DM, like we've been doing. If you don't mind, before we start, if you could subscribe to the channel, that way you'll know whenever I do decide to put these out. You'll be up in the know. And a like would be greatly appreciated as well. But subscribe most definitely. And with that, let's see. Our music today is again Everoon, and it's not my copyright. I don't think it's copyrighted, but it's what we use for background music. All right, here is the summary for episode 16.
Episode 16 summary. The road does not walk alone. Episode 16 begins with the caravan setting out after a quiet but uneasy night. Simon remains on watch, aware that the road is no longer indifferent to him. That awareness proves warranted when signs of deliberate interference appear ahead, false crossings, measured positioning, and the unmistakable sense of a test rather than a random threat. When the ambush comes, it is calculated, not reckless. The attackers attempt to pressure the caravan into stopping rather than destroying it outright. Simon responds decisively, keeping the caravan moving while quietly preparing the guards for violence. When the moment breaks, he steps into the center of the fight, drawing attention away from the wagons and shattering the attackers' coordination. In close combat, Simon disables and terrifies his primary opponent, turning the tide of the skirmish through positioning and control rather than brute force. The ambush collapses quickly after that. One attacker flees, one is wounded and captured, and the rest disengage. The caravan survives intact. No innocents are lost. After the fight, Simon tests the leather road mark he received earlier. In response, he briefly perceives the road not as stone and distance, but as living lines of movement and consequence. The warning he received before is confirmed. Something is coming, something that weaponizes delay and disruption rather than open destruction. Simon shows restraint and judgment, placing the captured ambusher under guard instead of executing him. When questioned, the prisoner reveals the existence of a group called the Gauge, people who test roads, caravans, and responses in order to identify weaknesses and exploit collapse without spectacle. The ambush was not meant to win, only to measure. Simon warns the caravan leadership that pressure is building on the road ahead. The caravan moves on, better prepared and more alert, carrying justice with them rather than leaving it behind. Episode 16 ends with alignment rather than escalation. The road has tested Simon openly. He has answered correctly, and whatever is coming now knows it will not find an empty path.
Okay, let's start episode 17 now. And remember what I told you about combat.
Noted, episode 17 starts hot and the road does not ease up. Episode 17, opening scene. Dawn never quite arrives. The sky lightens just enough to suggest time is moving, but the road itself stays dim, like it's conserving shadows. The caravan rolls forward under creaking axles and low voices. Guards are alert now. Nobody jokes. Nobody sings. Word travelled fast after yesterday. You can feel it again. Not danger exactly. Pressure, like the road is waiting to see what you'll do next. About an hour into travel, the caravan hits a stretch where the road narrows between shallow stone embankments. Not cliffs, not a choke point anyone would brag about. Just enough elevation to hide movement, just enough to make wagons bunch up. Then you hear it. A sharp crack, wood splinters. The lead wagon lurches as something heavy slams into its front axle from the side. Almost simultaneously, a second impact hits the rear wagon, not arrows, thrown iron wedges, deliberate, collated. This isn't an ambush meant to test anymore. This is an ambush meant to stop the caravan. Figures rise from both sides of the road, 6 of them, maybe more behind cover. They wear mixed gear, practical, ugly, no colours, not bandits screaming for blood. These people move like they've rehearsed this. One of them raises a hand and calls out, calm and amplified by a horn or charm, "Hold position. No one else gets hurt if you stay still." The guards look to you. They're waiting for the cue they didn't know they'd trust until now. This fight is about to happen unless you do something extraordinary in the next heartbeat. Before I proceed any further, roll initiative for Simon. Once I have that, combat starts immediately and we're not easing into it.
Okay, that's not exactly what I meant by asking for more combat, but that was initiative, right? Yeah. I rolled an 18 for initiative.
Perfect. Simon moves early. The road doesn't get to finish its sentence. Episode 17, combat begins initiative. Simon 18, you act before most of them. Whatever this turns into, you get to shape the opening beat. Here's what you see in the first frozen second of violence. 6 visible attackers. 3 on the left embankment, about 15 feet up, partially behind loose stone and scrub. 3 on the right, closer, only about 10 feet off the road. 1 already advancing toward the lead wagon with a hammer meant for axles. Both wagons are damaged, but mobile for now. Another solid hit will stop 1 cold. Caravan guards are tense but holding, weapons half raised, waiting for your signal. You clock at least 1 more shape moving behind the left embankment, not fully committed yet. Someone's coordinating. These aren't berserkers, they're disciplined, the kind of people who expect hesitation. They don't get it. Simon stands in the road, scimitars ready, Valharan heavy at his chest. The moment stretches, thin as a wire. You are not surprised. You are in control. Your turn. Tell me exactly what Simon does. Movement, action, bonus action. Bonus action. If you're attacking, tell me who and how.
Simon will rush the ambusher who is heading for the first trailer with a spike and attack him twice with my scimitars.
Good. That's the right instinct. You go straight for the problem instead of the noise. Simon breaks into a sprint, boots hammering stone, cloak snapping behind him. The ambusher with the spike barely has time to register you before you're on him. He was counting on hesitation. He bet wrong. You close the distance fast. He's within melee range, spike half raised, eyes wide now. This is the moment where plans collapse. Before I narrate blood and consequences, I need the numbers that decide how clean this gets. Make your 2 attack rolls with your scimitars. Roll them 1 at a time and tell me the results, including modifiers.
All right, scimitar. First one. Yes. The first attack roll was a natural 20 for a total of 26. The second attack roll was a 16.
Yeah, that'll do it. The ambusher turns just in time to see you, and then the world ends for him. First strike, the scimitar flashes up and across in a brutal, precise arc. A perfect hit. Not lucky. Correct. You catch him before he can set his stance, before he can brace, before he can think. His weapon arm jerks uselessly as blood sprays the roadstones. The spike clatters from his grip. He is alive for a heartbeat after that. Long enough to understand he misjudged you. Second strike. You pivot through him, the second scimitar driving in hard and low. Not elegant. Final. Whatever fight he thought he had evaporates. He collapses in front of the lead wagon, axle saved, body hitting the road with a wet, final sound. Around you, things change fast. The guards shout and surge forward. The attackers hesitate. That calm voice from before does not speak again. You just erase their timetable in about 2 seconds. Now we lock in the damage. Roll damage for both scimitar attacks. Remember to include critical damage for the first hit.
Seven and well, shit. The damage rolls were 7 and 4. That includes the crit.
Perfect. That's enough. More than enough. The first scimitar tears in deep, bone gives. The crit isn't flashy, it's decisive. The second blade finishes the thought. The ambusher drops hard in front of the lead wagon, blood pooling fast, spike skittering uselessly across the stones. The axle holds, the caravan keeps its feet. For half a second, the road belongs to you. Then everything reacts. On the right embankment, one attacker swears and pulls back, suddenly unsure. Another raises a crossbow he hadn't planned on using yet and looses a shot at you out of reflex. On the left, the higher ground group finally commits. One steps forward and whistles sharply. That hidden shape you clocked earlier moves. You were right. There's a coordinator, and you just forced their hand early. The guards surge now, morale snapped into place by example rather than orders. Steel clears scabbards. Someone yells for the wagons to keep moving. You've bought momentum, not safety, momentum. Incoming, one crossbow bolt fired at Simon from about 20 feet. Two attackers on the left embankment begin advancing down the slope, weapons out. One remains back, watching you two closely. That one's thinking. Before I resolve enemy damage, roll a dexterity saving throw for Simon to see how cleanly you avoid or take that crossbow shot. After that, we roll straight into the next exchange.
A dexterity saving throw. Ow. Simon rolled a natural 1 for 3 total.
That's ugly. The road takes its pound of flesh. The bolt comes in low and fast. You're already moving, already turning toward the next threat. And that fraction of a second is all it needs. The crossbow string snaps. Impact. The bolt punches into your side beneath the ribs, slipping past armor where motion opened a gap. It is not cinematic. It is not clean. It is the kind of hit you feel immediately, hot and wrong, stealing breath and focus all at once. You stay on your feet. You do not slow. But the message lands. You take 9 points of piercing damage. Around you, the fight explodes fully now. The two attackers from the left embankment are almost down the slope, closing fast. One has a short spear, the other a heavy cleaver. The one hanging back is still watching, still measuring. He is not afraid. He is curious. The guards are engaged now, clashing with one attacker on the right while another circles wide, trying to get behind the wagons. Blood is on the road, yours and theirs. The caravan is moving but strained. This is the moment where fights tip one way or another. Simon is wounded. Simon is standing. Simon is still the center of this. Your turn again. Tell me what Simon does next.
9 points of damage. Simon will rush to where the one skulker in the background and try to attack him twice with my scimitars if I can get there fast enough.
You can get there. It's a hard sprint, pain screaming under your ribs where the bolt bit you, but adrenaline is a hell of a drug and the road hasn't taken your legs yet. The thinking one sees you commit and finally moves, but he's a half second late. That pause tells you everything you need to know about him. This one isn't muscle. This one is control. You close the distance as he reaches for a short blade and snaps out an order that dies in his throat. When you're suddenly right there, scimitars up, blood on the steel. If this lands, you cut the head off the problem. Yes, you can attack him twice. Now we find out how cleanly. Roll your 2 attack rolls with the scimitars. Give them to me one at a time.
$22 and 12. First attack roll was a and the second was a 12.
That's solid pressure. The road likes momentum. You're feeding it correctly. The first strike comes in fast and tight. That hits cleanly, no question. You catch him mid-step before his weight settles, before his plan finishes forming. The second strike, that one's close. He twists, trying to roll with it, trying to turn your timing against you. Whether it bites flesh or just scrapes armor comes down to force, not luck. We resolve it the right way. Roll damage for both scimitar attacks. Roll them separately and tell me the numbers. Once I have that, I'll tell you exactly how badly you just disrupted the people who thought they were in charge.
9 and 6. I rolled a 9 and a for the first and a 6 for the second.
That's it. You got him. Simon crashes into the backline like a bad decision coming due. First strike. Your blade slams in hard, catching him high across the torso. Not a killing blow, but a telling one. He wasn't built for this. He grunts, staggers, and whatever calm calculation he was running in his head shatters on impact. Second strike. You don't give him time to recover. The follow-up comes in lower, faster, and meaner. Steel bites deep. He goes down on one knee, then spills sideways onto the stones, gasping, blood darkening his clothes. He's alive, barely. But he is done, and the effect is immediate. The two attackers advancing from the left embankment falter when they see him fall. One actually slows, glancing back like he expects orders that never come. The one still fighting near the wagons shouts something sharp and panicked. The rhythm of the attack collapses. This was the spine of it. You just broke it. The guards feel it too. One of them takes advantage of the hesitation and drives an attacker back with a shield bash. The caravan keeps moving, wagons grinding forward through chaos instead of stopping inside it. You stand over the fallen coordinator, breath hard, side bleeding, scimitars wet. The road hums under your feet, not pleased, not angry, just aware. The fight is not over yet, but it is now yours. Next, two attackers remain active on the left embankment, shaken but armed. One attacker is still tangled with guards on the right. The downed coordinator is bleeding out, but conscious enough to see who ended him. It's still combat. Your turn again. Do you finish him, turn back toward the remaining attackers, or do something smarter than violence?
I tie the one who's down up so they can't use their arms or feet. If I can move after that, I would like to.
Cold, efficient, that's the right kind of mercy. Simon plants a boot against the wounded coordinator's shoulder, twists him onto his stomach, and works fast. You don't bother with finesse knots meant for comfort. You bind wrists tight behind the back, cinch the ankles, then hog tie the two together so even rolling is an ordeal. Every pull earns a sharp gasp from him. He doesn't fight it. He knows better now. This costs you your action, but you do it cleanly and fast. He is restrained, unable to use his arms or legs, bleeding and furious, and very aware of who decided he'd live. You still have movement. You can reposition immediately, but before I lock anything in, I need one thing from you to see how solid the restraint is under combat pressure. Make a dexterity sleight of hand check to see how secure the bindings are. Once I have that number, tell me where Simon moves, and we roll straight into the enemy's next response.
Sleight of hand, right? Sleight of hand, only a 2. I rolled a 7, 9. Simon then moves toward the two attackers on the left.
That'll hold for now. Not pretty, not elegant, but functional. The kind of knot that says, I don't need you comfortable, I need you contained. The coordinator squirms once as you finish. Pain flares. He stops moving. The bindings bite into flesh and cloth alike. If he tries to escape later, he's going to pay for every inch of it. Simon pivots and moves. You put distance between yourself and the prisoner and close on the left embankment attackers, boots grinding up loose stone. Blood loss tugs at your side, but momentum is still yours, and they feel it. One of them hesitates again. That hesitation is going to get him killed, but now it's their turn. The two left side attackers split as you approach. One lunges downhill to intercept you with a short spear, trying to keep reach. The other hangs back a step, cleaver up, looking for an opening once you commit. They're not panicking, but they're no longer confident. At the same time, behind you, the remaining attacker on the right disengages from the guards and starts moving wide, clearly trying to circle back toward the wagons. He's running, not retreating, repositioning. Here's how it breaks. Spear attacker closes and thrusts at Simon. Cleaver attacker holds, waiting to capitalize. Guards keep pressure on the right side attacker, but he's fast. First things first, the spear attack comes in at you. I'm rolling it now. The thrust scrapes off stone as you twist aside, but the follow-up clips you across the thigh. You take 6 points of piercing damage. It's not clean, but it's not crippling. You're still very much in the fight. The cleaver attacker steps in now, seeing blood, swinging heavy and low, trying to break your stance. Your turn is next, but you have a split second to react before that cleaver lands. You can take it and counter. Try to disengage. Use a reaction if you have one available, or lean into violence and gamble. Tell me what Simon does right now.
Reaction, opportunity attacks, the only thing I've got. So, first off, we need to take damage. Six points of piercing damage. Take it and counter.
Good. No flinching. You plant your feet and dare him to finish the thought. The cleaver comes in hard and ugly, a committed swing meant to break bone and courage at the same time. You don't dodge, you don't retreat, you twist just enough to keep it from being perfect. Steel slams into you with a brutal jolt. You take 8 points of slashing damage. It hurts, the kind of hit that rattles your teeth and makes your vision narrow for half a heartbeat. But you stay upright. You stay dangerous. The cleaver bites and sticks for just a fraction of a second longer than it should. That's the mistake. You are inside his guard now. The spear wielder is a step too far away to help. The road, once again, has given you an opening. This is your turn. You are in melee with two attackers. Cleaver attacker, overextended, right in front of you. Spear attacker, slightly to your flank, still threatening but slower to reset. You have your action and bonus action available. Tell me exactly who Simon attacks and how.
Simon will use his. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to take 8 points of damage. We use his bonus action to drink a potion of healing. We have a homebrew rule that when you take a healing potion, you get the maximum amount of healing. Then Simon will attack the cleaver attacker with 2 scimitar attacks.
Good call. That's battlefield judgment, not panic. Simon snaps the potion free, teeth popping the stopper as he moves. He downs it in one practiced pull, red liquid burning warm as it hits his gut. The pain in your side and thigh doesn't vanish, but it locks back into place, manageable, contained. Your breath steadies, your grip firms. Under your table rule, that potion does exactly what it's supposed to do. You regain the maximum healing from the potion. Your posture straightens just enough for the cleaver wielder to realize he fucked up. You turn on him immediately, scimitar's already in motion. He's still recovering from the swing. Cleaver low, weight wrong. This is the window people die in. Now we resolve it cleanly. Roll your 2 scimitar attack rolls against the cleaver attacker. Give them to me one at a time.
Okay, first off, I gain 10 hit points back. And roll 2 scimitar attacks. Nat 20. The first attack roll is a natural 24, 26. And the second roll was a 25.
That's catastrophic for him, utterly, professionally catastrophic. You don't even need luck anymore. You're operating on inevitability. Both attacks hit. The first is a crit. The second is just cruel confirmation. Before I turn this into something the guards will be talking about for years, we lock in the math. Roll damage for both scimitar attacks. Remember, double the damage dice for the critical hit on the first strike. Once I have those numbers, I'll tell you exactly how violently this fight keeps tipping in your favor.
Okay, the first one was the critical. Double damage. $16. 16 and 4. The first damage was the 16. The second was a 4.
That seals his fate. The cleaver attacker never gets his footing back. First strike. The crit is surgical and vicious. Your scimitar carves across his upper body with a sound like cloth tearing soaked leather. It opens him up deep. He lets out a sharp, broken noise that might have been a shout once, staggers, and drops the cleaver outright. Whatever fight he thought he had ends right there. Second strike. You finish it without ceremony. A fast, economical cut that takes his legs out from under him and puts him face first into the stones. He does not get back up. He is out of the fight, permanently. The spear wielder freezes for a split second too long, staring at what you just did at arm's length. That hesitation costs him dearly in morale, if not blood yet. Around the battlefield, things snap loose. The left side is effectively broken. One attacker dead, one terrified and alone. On the right, the guards press harder now. The runner trying to circle the wagons realizes too late he no longer has support. The bound coordinator watches all of this in silence, eyes wide, breathing shallow. He understands exactly how badly he miscalculated. Blood slicks the road. The caravan is still moving, slowly, but it's moving. You are standing, blades red, breathing hard, but steady. Combat is not over, but it is collapsing fast. Current situation: One remaining attacker on the left, armed with a spear, shaken but still standing in front of you. One remaining attacker on the right, being pressured by guards and losing ground. One captured coordinator, hog-tied and bleeding but alive. It's still your momentum, and the next choice decides whether this ends clean or ugly. Your turn. Do you press the spear wielder, pivot to help the guards, or do something that makes the last attackers rethink their life choices altogether?
Okay. One on the left. Simon will maneuver. How the hell do you spell maneuver? To attack the spear holder with his two scimitars. Okay.
You don't let him recover. You don't give him space to remember whatever training he once had. Simon shifts his weight, cuts inside the spear's reach, and turns that long weapon into a liability. The spear wielder tries to reset his grip, tries to backpedal uphill, but you're already there. Too close. Too late. Fear finally lands on him. Real fear. You're in melee range and lined up clean. This is a full commitment strike. Roll your two scimitar attack rolls against the spear holder. Give them to me one at a time, and we'll see how decisively this fight ends.
Come on, not 20. 14 should hit, I would think. And 26 is definitely going to hit. The first attack is a 14. The second attack is a 26.
That sequence tells a very clear story. First attack, 14, he manages to get the spear shaft up just in time. Wood and steel clash, sparks snapping as your blade skims off the haft instead of biting flesh. It's a defensive flinch, not skill. He's already in retreat mode. Second attack, 26. That one lands. Clean. Undeniable. The road might forgive hesitation, but it never forgives bad spacing. Before I turn that into consequences, roll damage for the second scimitar attack. Once I have that number, I'll tell you whether this ends with him falling, fleeing, or realizing far too late that dropping the spear was the smarter option.
He only takes 4 points of damage.
Four points is enough to decide him, even if it doesn't drop him. Your second blade slips past the spear haft and cuts deep across his forearm. Not a killing wound, but a career-ending one. Muscle parts. Blood runs fast. The spear clatters from his grip and skids downhill. He yelps, staggers back 2 steps, then a third. His eyes flick once to the dead man at your feet, once to the wagon still moving, once to the guards closing in on the far side. He breaks. The remaining spear wielder turns and runs, scrambling up the embankment and vanishing into the scrub, injured, bleeding, and absolutely done with this road. That leaves one last attacker on the right. The guards have him half surrounded now. He sees you turn. He sees the bodies. He sees the bound coordinator on the stones like a butchered pig that learned to breathe. He drops his weapon, hands up, knees hit the dirt. The fight is over. Combat ends. 2 attackers dead, 1 wounded and fled, 2 captured, 1 coordinator, 1 foot soldier. Caravan intact, no civilian casualties. The road quiets again, not silent, satisfied. Guards look to you now, the way soldiers look at someone who has already decided how the story ends. Someone mutters a prayer, someone else spits and laughs shakily. The bound coordinator meets your eyes. He knows you could have killed him. He knows you didn't. That scares him more. Simon stands in the road, bleeding, breathing, unbroken. Episode 17 has begun properly. You have prisoners, you have answers waiting to be pulled out of them, and the road is very interested in what you do next. Tell me what Simon does.
Simon will help get everything back in order with the caravan to make sure that it's able to continue with its journey. Then he will place the 2 prisoners on one of the wagons and begin to interrogate them.
Simon does what commanders do after the noise stops. He stabilizes reality. He checks axles first. Hands on wood, eyes on stress lines, making sure nothing's about to fail 10 minutes down the road. The thrown wedges are pried loose and tossed aside. Guards are reassigned without drama. 2 up front, 2 rotating the flanks. Nobody argues. They've seen what happens when coordination breaks. Blood gets washed from the stones where it matters. Bodies are pulled clear of the road and covered, not out of kindness, out of discipline. The caravan moves again, slow at first, then steady. The rhythm returns. Only then does Simon deal with the living problems. The 2 prisoners are hauled onto the nearest wagon. The foot soldier is shaking now that the fight is over, adrenaline gone, staring at his hands like they betrayed him. The coordinator is worse, silent, bound tight, bleeding through his clothes, watching everything with sharp, calculating eyes that can't quite hide the fear underneath. They're secured, guarded, out of options. Simon climbs up onto the wagon, scimitars sheathed but very visible. He doesn't rush. He lets the road roll beneath them for a minute, letting the silence do its work. Then he starts asking questions. You get the sense quickly that these 2 are very different animals. The foot soldier is brittle. He's scared, injured, and already halfway to telling you anything you want if he thinks it'll keep him alive. The coordinator is disciplined. He's measuring every breath, every pause, trying to decide what kind of man you are and what kind of truth you'll accept. This isn't about shouting. It's about pressure. Tell me how Simon interrogates them. Do you start with the easy one to strip the fear out of the situation? Go straight for the coordinator and make the power dynamic explicit? Or play them against each other, letting silence and implication do the heavy lifting? The road is listening.
I I ask the coordinator, what's your name and who sent you? Make sure you think hard and tell me the truth. I'll know if you don't. Do I need to roll a deception? Deception or persuasion roll this?
You do need a roll, yeah. This is you applying social pressure with a clear threat. So it's charisma, intimidation, not deception or persuasion. Roll intimidation for Simon and tell me the total. While you roll, here's what's happening in the wagon. The coordinator looks up at you, eyes narrowed. He's bleeding through his shirt, but he keeps his posture like it's a meeting, not a capture. He studies your face like he's trying to find the seam where bluff becomes mercy. Then he speaks carefully, like each word costs him. My name is Kestrel. He swallows, jaw tightening. No one sent us. He pauses, watches you, watches your hands, watches the guards nearby. We were contracted. He tries to keep it vague, but you can hear the strain, like he's walking a wire. That's the truth as far as I can speak it. Now give me that intimidation roll and I'll tell you what cracks next.
Intimidation +0. Oh well. I only rolled a 5.
The number lands badly, not a collapse, not a win. A miss that still carries weight because of who is standing there. Simon doesn't shout, he doesn't threaten again, he just waits. And that's what keeps this from falling apart completely. Kestrel clocks the roll in his bones. Not the number, obviously, but the absence of force behind it. The pressure eases just a hair, enough for him to breathe, enough for him to decide how much he can afford to lose. He answers, but he answers carefully. I told you the truth as it stands, he says. No handler, no banner, no lord whispering orders. He shifts against the ropes, testing them just enough to confirm what he already knows. They'll hold. We work for markets, not masters. The gauge doesn't move caravans for ideology. We map failure, delays, panic points, roads that break when leaned on. He looks past you, briefly, at the rolling wagons. This one didn't. That part is honest, you can hear it. As for who paid, he exhales slowly. A broker, third party, coin passed through 3 hands before it reached us. Names like that don't survive the transaction. That's where he stops. Not defiant, not smug, contained. You don't feel like he lied to you. You feel like he told you everything he could without dying later. The foot soldier is watching this exchange with wide eyes, swallowing hard. He looks like a man who desperately wants to speak and doesn't yet know whether speaking will save or kill him. The road rolls on beneath the wagon. Steady, patient. You didn't crack Kestrel, but you didn't lose him either. You have options now. Push harder on Kestrel, change tactics, shift from threat to inevitability. Turn to the foot soldier and let him unravel in contrast. Ask a better question, not who paid, but why this road. or let silence do damage for another mile and see who breaks first. Simon is in control of the tempo now, even if the truth is still resisting. What does he do next?
He asks Kestrel if he doesn't know who paid, then why this stretch of road? Why this caravan?
Simon doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't lean in. He just asks the right question, the kind that bypasses training and goes straight for structure. Kestrel exhales through his nose when you say it. Not relief, recognition. That, he says, is the part I do know. He shifts slightly on the wagon, the ropes biting, eyes drifting to the road ahead like he's looking at a map only he can see. This stretch sits between reliability and scarcity. Close enough to settled routes that caravans assume safety, far enough out that response times stretch thin. If something goes wrong here, it compounds instead of correcting. He looks back to you. Delay here doesn't just slow one caravan, it ripples. Missed markets, empty shelves, guards reassigned, rumors. Then the key part, the one he didn't volunteer before. This caravan was chosen because of you. The foot soldier stiffens. He didn't know that, not fully. You're an anomaly. Kestrel continues. Unregistered factor. Someone who alters outcomes without announcing themselves. Roads don't like that. Markets don't either. He swallows. Our job wasn't to stop you. It was to see if pressure made you brittle. A beat. It didn't. There's no admiration in his voice, just acceptance. Like a scientist recording a result he didn't expect but now has to live with. The foot soldier blurts out, voice cracking. They said it'd be a soft test, that we'd pull back if it got loud. Kestrel closes his eyes for a second. That was more than he wanted said. Now the shape of it is clearer. This wasn't about theft. It wasn't about this caravan's cargo. It was about what happens when resistance appears on a road that's supposed to be predictable. The road hums under the wagon again. Faint but unmistakable. Not pleased, not angry, aware. You've learned something important, Simon. Something that doesn't end when this interrogation does. You're being measured, not by the gauge alone. The caravan rolls on, carrying answers that are already growing heavier. Tell me what Simon does with this information.
How do you know who I am?
Kestrel doesn't answer immediately. That alone is an answer. The wagon creaks, leather straps groan, the road rolls on like it's pretending not to listen, which means it absolutely is. Then he speaks, slow and precise. We didn't know your name, he says. Not at first, we knew the shape of you. He lifts his bound hands a fraction as if sketching something invisible in the air. A traveller who causes variance. Outcomes bend around you. Delays collapse instead of spreading. Violence resolves instead of metastasizing. That kind of pattern doesn't belong to chance. The foot soldier looks between the two of you, confused and frightened. This was never explained to him in words like these. Kestrel continues. The gauge maintains ledgers, not names, effects, places where expected failures don't happen, roads where intervention appears without announcement. You showed up on 3 separate routes that should have gone worse than they did. He meets your eyes now. No bravado, no games. That's how we knew you'd be here. Not because we followed you, because the road did. A pause. As for who else knows, he hesitates, just long enough to matter. Anyone who watches logistics closely enough, trade houses, some city councils, a few organizations that don't advertise themselves, and now whoever hired the broker who hired us. The foot soldier whispers, They said he was just another guard. Kestrel doesn't look at him. They were wrong. The implication settles in like a weight. You haven't been tracked like prey. You've been noticed like infrastructure. A person-shaped solution to a problem the world is having. The caravan continues forward, intact, stubborn, moving through a system that expected it to fail quietly. Kestrel adds one last thing, softer now. You're not famous, Simon. You're useful, and usefulness attracts attention faster than glory ever does. The road hums again, faintly. Agreement or warning. Hard to tell. Simon sits with that truth in the moving wagon, prisoners bound at his feet, the future quietly rearranging itself ahead of him. What does he say or do next?
What do you think we should do with the both of you? Do you want to be put out of your misery?
Simon lets the question sit in the air like a blade laid gently against a throat. Kestrel doesn't flinch, but his breath changes. Just a little. Enough to tell you the math in his head just got ugly. The foot soldier breaks first. No, no, he blurts, words tumbling over each other. We'll talk. I'll talk. I don't want to die on a road that doesn't even remember my name. Kestrel closes his eyes for a second. Not in fear, in calculation. When he opens them again, he answers you directly. Death would be inefficient, he says carefully, for you, for us, for whoever's watching. He shifts against the ropes, wincing despite himself. You kill us, and the gauge learns one thing, that pressure here results in erasure. The response escalates. Harder tests, more deniable assets, less restraint, a pause. You keep us alive and you control the narrative. We become data points that don't resolve cleanly. That makes people cautious. Then, quietly, the hook. And if you let us go, eventually, alive and altered, we become messages. The foot soldier nods frantically. I don't ever want to see this road again. I swear it. Kestrel looks at him, then back to you. You asked what we want, he says. We want to live, but more than that, we want to stop being useful to the people who sent us. That part is honest. You can feel it. This is no longer just about punishment. It's about what outcome you want the system to learn. Before this fully resolves, there's one mechanical thing we should lock in. That question you asked carries real weight. It's a threat with teeth, even if you don't intend to follow through. Yes, give me a charisma, intimidation roll for Simon, not to see if they talk. They already are. This roll decides how afraid they are of you specifically, and how that fear shapes what happens next.
Intimidation. Come on, intimidation. Damn it. I rolled a nat 1 for a total of 1.
That lands, strangely, not weak, not laughable, unsettling in a way neither of them expected. You ask the question, and when the weight behind it fails to manifest the way threats usually do, something worse fills the gap. Silence. Kestrel watches you very carefully now. Not for rage, not for cruel, for indifference. The foot soldier looks relieved for half a second, then confused, then scared again because he realizes what just happened. You didn't threaten them because you wanted to hurt them. You asked because you were genuinely considering outcomes. Kestrel exhales slowly. That's not the answer I hoped for, he says, but it is the one I feared. He shifts, testing the ropes again, not to escape, to remind himself he's still subject to physics. You're not angry, he continues. You're not vengeful. You're deciding. He swallows. People like you don't kill out of impulse. They kill when it's useful. That makes mercy unpredictable. The foot soldier whispers, I don't like this. Good instincts. Too late. Here's what your Nat 1 does in this moment. They are not terrified of immediate death. They are terrified that you don't need to kill them at all. Fear of execution makes people beg. Fear of irrelevance makes people unravel. Kestrel speaks again, more openly now, because whatever mask he was wearing has slipped. If you hand us over to authorities, the gauge writes us off. Assets burned, we disappear into cells or graves, and the system adapts around the loss. If you execute us, he shrugs faintly, the road learns violence is the answer here. Then the dangerous option. If you let us go marked known failures, the gauge hesitates. Brokers stop recommending this route. Pressure reroutes elsewhere. He looks you dead in the eye. You don't scare us because you might kill us. You scare us because you're deciding what lesson the world learns. The caravan rolls on. The road hums again, low and thoughtful, like it's waiting to see what kind of story it's part of. You have all the leverage now, Simon, just not the kind that comes with shouting. You can deliver them to the next settlement and break the gauge's confidence in this region. Release them later with conditions that turn them into warnings. Separate them, spare one, keep the other, or do something no one watching has a model for yet. The road doesn't demand blood, it demands choice. What does Simon decide?
Simon will not heal them or allow them to be healed. Then he lets them off the wagon and onto the road. Go back and tell them to stop with their testings of the road. Or I'll make sure you live to regret it.
Simon doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't posture. He just decides. The wagon slows. Not a stop, just enough. Guards look to you. You nod once. They obey without comment. Kestrel is dragged to his feet first. The foot soldier follows, limping, pale, trying not to fall. No healing, no bandages. Blood is still blood. Pain is still teaching. They're set down on the road itself, not the ditch, not the scrub, the road. Simon stands over them while the caravan keeps rolling past, one wagon at a time, wheels thudding like punctuation marks. When you speak, it's quite enough that only they hear it. Go back, you say. Tell them to stop testing the road. Kestrel looks up at you, jaw tight. He understands exactly what you're doing now. This isn't mercy. This is reclassification. Or I'll make sure you live to regret it. That's the line that lands. Not because it's loud, because it's open-ended. You step back. The guards don't look at the prisoners again. The caravan does not wait. The space around them empties as wagons pass, leaving dust, heat, and consequence behind. The foot soldier stumbles to his feet and nearly collapses. Kestrel catches him by the arm, steady despite his own injuries. He doesn't thank you. He doesn't curse you. He just nods. We'll carry the message, he says. Exactly as delivered. They turn and walk. Slow at first, then steadier. Two wounded men moving down a road that now remembers them for failing. Behind you, the caravan regains full speed. The road hums. Not approval, not warning, acknowledgement. You didn't feed it blood. You fed it signal. Somewhere far down the chain, brokers will hesitate. Ledgers will be amended. Routes will be quietly redrawn. The gauge will argue about you in rooms that pretend you're just an anomaly and not a problem. They will not test this stretch again anytime soon. Episode 17 continues. Simon returns to the caravan, bleeding but whole, having taught the road something new, that resistance doesn't always end in death. Sometimes it ends in memory. Tell me what Simon does next as the caravan moves on.
I need to remove one potion of healing. Okay. While the caravan continues on, I'm going to check on Mara to make sure she's fine.
Simon slips back into the moving rhythm of the caravan, the aftermath settling into that strange quiet that only comes after violence decides not to linger. He finds Mara riding in the second wagon, seated on a crate with one hand braced against the rail. Her knuckles are still white, but she's upright, breathing steady. When she sees you, something in her shoulders finally loosens. "I'm fine," she says before you even ask. Like she knows the question is coming and wants to save you the trouble. Shaken, not hurt. She glances past you, down the road where the dust is already swallowing the shapes of the two men you left behind. "I saw what you did," she adds quietly. Not accusation, not praise, observation. Most people would have chosen blood or chains. She looks back at you now, looks eyes sharp in a way they weren't before. You chose consequences. The wagon bumps over uneven stone. Someone up front laughs, the sound thin but real. Life restarting in small, stubborn ways. Mara exhales and flexes her fingers like she's grounding herself. "They won't forget this," she says. "Neither will anyone they report to." Then, softer, more personal, "Neither will I." She studies the cut at your side, the way you favor one leg just a little. "You should sit before you fall over out of pride. You've done enough road wrestling for one day." The caravan keeps moving. The road stretches ahead, still dangerous, still strange, but no longer unchallenged. Mara is alive, the caravan is intact. And whatever was testing this stretch has been told very clearly that the answer is no. Episode 17 breathes, not finished yet, but steady. Tell me what Simon says to Mara, or what he does next as the road carries them forward.
He climbs on the wagon with Mara, still keeping a guard's eye out for anything the ordinary.
Simon climbs up onto the wagon beside Mara, one hand steady on the rail, eyes never quite at rest. He doesn't slump. He doesn't relax. He just repositions, like a blade set back into its sheath, but still sharp. The caravan rolls on. From up here, the road looks ordinary again. Stones, ruts, dust. The kind of stretch merchants forget 5 minutes after they pass through it. But you can feel the difference now. Not danger. Attention without hostility. Like something that tested a boundary and accepted the result. Mara shifts to give you room. She doesn't crowd you, doesn't chatter. She understands the posture you're in. Shared silence, earned the hard way. A few minutes pass. Nothing obvious happens. No movement in the scrub. No signals, no tricks. Just the sound of wheels and breathing and guards settling into a rhythm that knows who's watching their backs. Mara finally speaks, quietly, eyes forward. You didn't make enemies today, she says. You made adjustments. She glances at you. A half smile, tired, respectful. That's rarer. Up ahead, the road bends gently east toward lower ground and a thinner line of trees. Visibility improves. Whatever leverage this stretch once offered is behind you now. For the first time since morning, the caravan feels like it's traveling, not surviving. Simon keeps watch. The road keeps its distance. And the day, at least for now, decides not to argue. Episode 17 continues with the caravan moving steadily toward its next waypoint, the memory of violence already turning into story, warning, and wait. When you're ready, we can let time pass, introduce the next complication, or stay in this quiet stretch long enough for something subtle to try its luck. Just tell me how Simon keeps the watch, or if he speaks again.
Simon will stay in the wagon to rest up a bit. He'll make small talk with Mara as the caravan continues on. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up now. Please close out the episode.
Episode 17, closing. Simon stays on the wagon, not slumped, not asleep, just resting in the way veterans do, weight settled, pain acknowledged but not indulged. The road passes under the wheels in a steady rhythm now, no tricks, no questions, just distance being eaten honestly. Mara sits beside him and the small talk comes easily, not forced cheer, not debrief, just human things. Comments about the guards, about how caravans always smell worse after a fight, about a town ahead that might have decent bread if they're lucky and regret if they're not. The kind of conversation that means we're still here. Simon keeps one eye on the road anyway. Habit, instinct. The guard never really goes off duty, it just lowers its weapon a few inches. Nothing stirs, nothing reaches. Whatever was testing this stretch has accepted the answer and moved its attention elsewhere. Behind them, consequences walk away bleeding. Ahead of them, the road opens without argument. You didn't win today by killing everything in front of you. You won by teaching the system that this path pushes back. The caravan rolls on intact. Mara is safe. The road remembers. Episode 17 ends not with escalation, but with momentum reclaimed.
Okay, well, that's going to do it then for today. I may play tomorrow. I'm not sure. Depends on what happens. But again, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Hope you have a Merry Christmas. And if you could like, comment, subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.